So, good morning, everybody. And again, we just actually ended 16 weeks. And it's hard to believe it's been 16 weeks. And, it's a new world out there. And that's what I kept saying to everyone. Reimagine what it's going to look like, the workforce, what you go outside, and most importantly, to the essential workers that kept us moving forward. Thank you. To the workers that are slowly coming back, thank you. We're still not at 100% here in the county building with all workers being back because we have to socially distance, bring people in, do it in a safe and healthy way. Because I've said this since the beginning, it's the safety and welfare of the residents of this county that I worry about first and foremost. So as of today, we have 1,915 positive cases of the coronavirus. 224 people under mandatory quarantine. That's going up from 197. This is what we talked about when the governor's been slowing things down, talking about the pausing or rolling things out. We have 14 new cases as of today, 14. And just to let light of the people watching this, the last time we had 10 cases was June 26th, and the last time we had 18 cases was June 4th. And the worst case scenario we had was 64 cases back in April. So yes, it is alarming because we're starting to see the numbers uptick. No, I'll let the viewers out there. It wasn't nursing homes. I think there's one or two of the nursing home workers, but this is out there, and it's what Dr. Whalen and I have said, continue to say. We sound like broken records, but we continue to say all the time, it's there. It hasn't gone away, but people wearing their mask, coughing into their arms, cleaning their hands, and keeping 6 feet apart is working. But this is what I was afraid of. With the new weather being here and everyone being out, we could go in that other direction. So we got to be careful. We have 5,768 people who have completed quarantine. 1,876 that tested positive for the virus have recovered. That's 6 new recoveries since yesterday. We have 5 people in the hospital with a hospitalization rate of 0.26, same as yesterday. And we have, which is the same, which is good. And we have 1 person currently in the ICU, the same as yesterday. And then we have our hospitalization rate, which I said, our 5-day average rate of 5.4 new positive cases each day. So that kind of went up a little bit with the uptick with the 10 and the numbers before. So again, the hospitalizations and the ICU and all that has come down, which is good. But we're starting to see that uptick, so which we have to be very, very careful about. So I continue to urge people to get tested. The governor has opened testing up in all New York for all New Yorkers, whether you have symptoms or not. So I want to say this again: the governor opened it up. All places to get tested, whether you have symptoms or not. So that's a lot different than what we've been saying for the last 16 weeks. So if you want to get tested and you just, and I urge, and listen, I know this is hard to say this because I have 2 kids in this age bracket, the 20 to 29-year-olds, please. I know you have no signs, symptoms, you feel good, you don't care, you're doing well. Please just go get tested and see where you're at because it can save someone's life. And that's what it's about, of helping out other people. If you don't want to help yourself, help out someone around you. So our mobile testing sites are still running by appointment. The number is 518-465-4771. Albany in Seth Q Arena, as always, 188-364-3065. Rate Aid in Colony is still going by appointment only by going to Rate Aid online, rateaid.com. And Priority 1 in Gilliland for the antibody testing, if you want to get tested to see if you have it, and that's area code 518-867-8040. The governor has opened it up to everybody, so please pay attention to that. You can go get tested, and I know he's put more restrictions on 16 other states that have been identified as must self-quarantine for 14 days. So, I know airlines, I was actually just talking to the CEO of the airport the other day, and we were going back and forth. In August, they were looking at 80% of flights coming back, 80% for August and September. And now with this is obviously going to put another damper on aviation, but for good reasons, right? Why the governor's doing this, but you have to self-quarantine for 14 days. You come off a flight, just be wary. We're going to track you down, and we're going to make sure that you are identified. We had 3 people that came in from Warren County last night that were identified, and they're mapping and tracing it. And I know they reached out to our health department. We got contact on that. So they are watching it, and if you're going to fly to one of these states like Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Mississippi, North Carolina, Nevada, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, it goes on and on. So please pay attention to where you want to go if you're going to visit family or relatives or loved ones. You're going to have to self-quarantine. In most of these states there, you got to self-quarantine anyway. So keep that in mind. The governor also is concerned about people not complying with the mask and social distancing. It's a huge issue. I said this before. If you don't want to wear your mask, don't go into the store. Don't go into the store. Don't go in. Shop online. Do what you have to do. Ask a neighbor to go pick you up groceries or whatever. Groceries now deliver. They have been for a while. There's ways you can do it. And again, I get it. Not everyone wants to wear a mask. People feel contained to a mask. Listen, I was a fireman, and there's firemen that had to walk away because they couldn't wear the SCBAs, because they couldn't stand it on their face. They couldn't breathe. I get it. It's not easy. It's not easy, and we have to get used to that. Again, if not just because of your health, it's about the health and safety of people around you. But that being said, and one of the bigger things we talked about in the control room at 1400 every day is that, enforcement. How do you enforce this, right? Police are busy enough with everything going on. We're just getting at, we've been shut down. Most places been shut down for 14 weeks. So you're coming back into the workforce. Police are out there doing their job. They have enough to handle with everything going on, and now we got to figure out how you enforce it. We don't have the staff at our Department of Health to go out and do all this, or our weights and measures team. It's a big task to go in there, and then who wants to go in there to a crowded restaurant or bar, or if they're not socially distanced, say, hey, you got to shut down or we're going to fine you. And I said that's the last thing we want to do. I assure all the business owners in this county is to fine you, because you're trying to get back on your feet. You're trying to get your doors open. You're trying to survive. You reimagine what your workforce is going to look like, what your restaurants are going to look like. And you know what? We want to be a partner in this. You're the backbone of our communities. The small businesses are the ones I'm focused on. They're the ones that are like I said, give the first exposure to a young kid for a job, or you beautify your building, or you're paying your taxes in the community. That's what makes a neighborhood. When you walk down the street, and whether it's a coffee shop, sandwich shop, whatever it may be, that's what makes sometimes where people move. So, but the governor did put a task force together to help localities with enforcement, so they can enforce these policies. And listen, I don't want to say I don't want to put words in the governor's mouth, but what I believe is that he just wants to keep this rate down. He doesn't want it spreading. And, I commend him for that. I know what he's trying to do. I don't think he wants to fine businesses either. But the last thing I think he wants to do, and I want to do, is pause and not reopen and start to shut the reversal process down, because I don't know if people would put up with it this time, because, it is hard. And it's been hard on a lot of people to get adjusted for it. So just to give you that. So you can file complaints online, as always. I got the slide up. You can go to my licenses and / and ask, or by calling. As always, this is easier to call, 1-833-789-0470. 1-833-789-0470, and that will be part of the enforcement going forward. Again, I know everyone's been stuck inside for 16 weeks with not a lot to do. Probably thank God for Xbox and PlayStation and all that stuff. But we've been hard at work, and I have to say this: our Parks Department, our Recreation Department, even before the governor put the guidelines out, was coming up ways. How do you move forward? What's the park system going to look like going forward, especially here in the county? And I commend all the mayors and supervisors for looking at the way the Parks Departments are going to open up and how the summer youth program is going to go. But I do want to say our commissioner and our team out there came up with some solutions a while ago. But again, not knowing to where we're going to be at and where we're going. One of the issues has been a hot topic was summer youth programs, or summer youth employment, which I stand behind. It gets kids off the streets, it teaches them a skill. But the issue is, and I've said this to the legislature, I don't have all my workers back. How can I introduce people into the workforce? That should be your first priority, getting people back, opening up government, which we've been open through this whole thing, but expanding our services and continuing forward. And that's my first priority, right? But it is the priority to get these kids off the streets and give them something to do. So you have to reimagine and figure it out. So we did. We did, and I want to thank everyone that was involved with that. But what we're going to be doing is take a little break and give a chance to relax. Summer fun in Cohoes. That's what we're starting out. Summer fun in Cohoes. To go out there. It's going to start at Lansing Park, and we'll have yard games like Bag-O, Cam Jam, along with badminton, home run derby, soccer drills, and more. Doing some karate lessons, track and field events, crafts, every educational stuff on top, educational opportunities for kids to come out and do it in a healthy and safe way. And that way, by doing this, again, low impact sports, socially distanced, and given an opportunity. And the way we're going to do this is going forward is that we're going to be we'll be Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can register online at Albany County Department of Recreation website. The link is on the screen, and we'll post the social media, including our release later on. But I'm happy to announce this partnership, and that's what I was saying. I want to give County Legislator Wanda Willingham credit. She did a good forum last night on gun violence and different programs in the community of downtown Albany, throughout Albany County. But we also have been talking about this program, and we reached out and we set it up. So some of the partnerships that will be paid internships that will be available for kids will be the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, Capital Region BOCES, and our County Department of Recreation, which will be all outdoor activities, not indoor. So just to let people know that. I know the Albany County Legislature, I talked to Wanda Willingham, we'll be putting out an application shortly. And again, this will be the first week of our summer fun in Cohoes program for Cohoes kids only, obviously age 7 to 13. And the second and third week we'll be opening programs in Green Island and Watervliet. Again, rolling it out slowly and safely, and making sure it works. I want to thank Mayor Bill Keeler for his partnership on this. I also want to thank Cohoes County Legislator Gil Ethier, who's been driving me crazy on this, as well as Wanda, making sure we get this stuff going, and on top of worried about the workers coming back. Bill worked hard in the city of Cohoes also, so thank you so much. And to our Department of Parks and Recreation, which wouldn't be possible. Again, I want to thank all the businesses that have stepped up, reinvented themselves to help out the community, making tons of donations. Thank you all on that. And again, we're going to get through this, but and I'll have Dr. Whalen talk a little bit more on this topic, is that we have to be careful. With 4th of July here, people are going to be barbecuing. People are going to be going to Lake George. They're going to be going to Thompson's Lake, Warner's Lake. They're going to be all over the county, and you're going to have people over your house. It's this, like I said before, please, social distance, wear your mask, stay away from large gatherings, keep your 6 feet separation, because again, this could be the setback. And I know July 6th, other sports like baseball start to open up, kids are ready for this, coaches are ready for this, it's all set up. But if we have this spike and this spike continues, I can assure you, and I'm not going to speak for the governor, but he will be slowing the phase down and we will be going backwards. So it's up to you, everyone out there, how you want to do this. And yes, the people in Clifton Park and in other areas, I'm not trying to scare you, but it's the reality. I know it's not what you want to hear. I know you want to hear everything's fine and no one's infected and nothing's out there, but I can assure you, I understand your concerns when I get them through Facebook and through emails. I understand. We all want to move on with our lives and get back to somewhat of a normal life. So we can only do that by you doing the right thing. Dr. Whalen?
Thanks, Kenny, Executive McCoy. So I, like all of you, have been watching the national news and am well aware that many states are experiencing worsening numbers, higher numbers, exponentially growing numbers, and even though today may be a blip, 14 cases is a big concern. This is not the direction that we want to be going in. This is a direction that can take us backwards, and this is a big concern. So, as we start to look at these cases, as we start to do our contact case investigation and contact tracing, We're going to be looking and making sure that we continue with these educational messages to the public. It is essential that the public realize that there is an individual mandate on everyone in this county and everyone in this state and everyone across the country. If we don't do what we're supposed to do, things will slide backwards. Coronavirus has not gone away. We are seeing evidence of cases that are being acquired in people that are socializing. And as we've discussed many times, and is now nationally being discussed, the driver of infection appears to be that group between 19 and 35. We know that this group is generally healthy. They are fond of socializing, which is completely understandable, but people need to make sure that they're continuing to follow the recommendations of social distancing, avoiding mass gatherings, and utilizing masks. And I cannot understate how essential wearing masks are. Surgical masks should not cause significant impairment in your breathing. Surgical masks are light, they are breathable, and they can prevent droplet inhalation. So we know that the virus, is usually transmitted through droplets and to a lesser extent in an airborne manner. A surgical mask or a homemade mask prevents those droplets from being inhaled by you. It also prevents you from spreading droplets if you are infected. So it protects you and it protects others. It is so important. And we have managed to flatten our curve because we have convinced people, and people have been following that. But I got to tell you, this morning on my way into work, and I drive down Madison Avenue across South Pearl, I noticed one or two people wearing masks and many, many people not wearing masks. I noticed that the restaurants were of course eager for people to get back to their place of business, but if people are at the table eating, they are not able to be masked. But if they're standing up, if they're entering a restaurant, if they're using the restroom in a restaurant, they have to be masked. We do have staff that is checking up on restaurants, as always. So we will be looking at restaurants and making sure that those places, the congregation that's going on there is within the guidelines, and that's going to be very important. And that again is important to that specific age group, but it's important to everybody. We also, since the quarantine restrictions have come in from other states, encourage people to really look at any non-essential travel and not make trips to states where there are higher rates of COVID. We've already seen, as was reported to you this morning, and as we have been aware of, that cases came in through the Albany airport on the 25th and 26th of June and are now testing positive in Warren County. We can see evidence of cases being imported from these high-risk states, so don't travel there unless you need to. Essentially, if you travel there as a holiday, you will not be given paid sick leave for a quarantine, so this is important to remember that you should not be traveling to those states.
Thank you, Dr. Whalen, and as always, thank you to everyone else. And I do want to say a special shout out to Scott's Miracle Grow, because they have donated a ton of face shields and other supplies that we will be putting out. I want to thank Sheriff Apple for his partnership with the EOC and getting supplies out and continue to get supplies out for hand sanitizers, mask gowns, and all that stuff that we're doing at the Time Union Center too. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Dennis Feeney for the partnership of what we've been doing, and Frank Marinello and Gary DeMolitz and everyone else. So thank you. So I do want to remind everyone, as always, the mental health helpline is there 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 518-269-6634. And then, again, we've gotten over 300 calls on that. And listen, I don't, nor will they tell me why people are calling, but call. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If something's bothering you, please call. It's available. I also made it available for people that have been experiencing the high volume of shootings in the city of Albany to call to any resident in the city of Albany to call that number. We'll be there to assist. Our mobile crisis team will come to you and talk to you and your family to help you through this time of need. Also, our 24-hour sexual assault hotline number, area code 518-447-7716. Our 211 number with the United Waste Partnership, New York State hotline, as always. Again, please, people, it's 4th of July weekend. I know people are off for 3 days. You've been home for 14 weeks. So don't act like this is the first time you've been off for 3 days in a row. Do the right thing. Continue to do the right thing. And we'll get through this. Remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.